Xiomara Castro. She is the new president of Honduras and the first female president of that country in Central America. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about who she is, her biography, what is she about, what she stands for. Why is it even significant that she is now the new president? So let's dive into these things and talk about who is Xiomara Castro. So Xiomara Castro was born in Santa Barbara, Honduras in 1959. She ended up meeting Manuel Zelaya, and they married in 1976 when she was just 16 years old and he was 23 years old. She was underage, teenager, when she got married. And Manuel Zelaya came from a wealthy family. His father was a wealthy landowner in the timber and logging industry in the country. And the two of them went on to continue that logging industry. During the 1980s as well as the 1990s, Xiomara Castro was involved in charity work and worked with the Rotary Club in Honduras in helping children and helping single parent households with giving them supplies and food and stuff for babies and so forth. And so she was very involved in social work during her life. And her husband, Manuel Zelaya, was a congressman in Honduras during the 1990s and the 2000s. In 2006, her husband, Manuel Zelaya, became president of Honduras, and Xiomara Castro was the first lady of Honduras from 2006 until 2009, when her husband, Manuel, was ousted by the Honduran army in a coup in June 2009. And this was the moment where Xiomara Castro really started taking on a political role. Now, I have talked about the 2009 coup in Honduras in countless past videos. And it does seem to get repetitive for me to keep talking about it. But once again, to recap it, Manuel Zelaya was overthrown as president of Honduras in June 2009 by the army, and the coup was backed by the rich landowners and oligarchs and the conservatives of Honduras who opposed his policies when he was raising the minimum wage in Honduras, and he was trying to negotiate land disputes with the poor peasants of the country and the rich landowners, and he was improving relations with socialist Venezuela as well as communist Cuba. And the rich conservative oligarchs overthrew him in a coup, having the army do it. And this is when, as I mentioned, Xiomara Castro, she became very vocal and was leading marches and protests that year against the coup, and was demanding her husband be restored to office, which never ended up happening. And their own party at the time, the Liberal Party of Honduras, basically betrayed them during the coup. So after that 2009 coup, Xiomara Castro started becoming pretty much a political voice. And in 2011, Manuel Zelaya and Xiomara Castro created their own political party after they left the traditional Liberal Party of Honduras, and they created the Libre Party in 2011. The Libre Party is a democratic socialist party. It's a very left-wing political party that wants to have socialism, democratic socialism. And Xiomara Castro attempted to run for president in Honduras in 2013 under the Libre Party. She lost the election to right-wing politician Juan Orlando Hernandez. And she was second place to Juan Orlando Hernandez. And then Xiomara Castro ended up running for president again in 2021. And she won. And she defeated the right-wing candidate Nasri Osfura, who is the mayor of Honduras' capital, Tegucigalpa, and defeated Yanni Rosenthal, who is from the Liberal Party. And both Nasri Asfoura and Yanni Rosenthal are very corrupt politicians. I did a video in the past on Yanni Rosenthal. He is a convicted money launderer. He and his family had been involved in helping drug trafficking groups in Honduras use his family-owned banks to launder drug money. And Nasri Asfoura, the mayor of Tegucigalpa, was named in 2021 in the Pandora Papers of embezzling lots of public funds as mayor of Honduras. So the Honduran people rejected these two people and chose Xiomara Castro. So now Xiomara Castro has become the first female president of Honduras. She took office this January 2022. And it is a political comeback for the Zelayas. Now that 12 years later, they're back in office, as well as their children, who are also involved in politics. One of their daughters, also named Xiomara Pichu Zelaya, is now a congresswoman in the country, and two of the Zelaya's sons are serving in Xiomara Castro's cabinet. Now, Xiomara Castro's agendas has been to try to fix the poverty in Honduras. Already as president, in her 2 months in office, she has helped release environmental activists from prison. She has banned open pit mining in her country. And she is also working on anti-corruption agendas and releasing state secrets from the previous administration of Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was a right-wing dictator. And she's working now on having Juan Orlando Hernandez extradited to the United States, as well as former police commander Juan Carlos Bonilla Valadares, who I made a video on in the past. I will be doing a future video on these two men's extradition and what it means and the significance of it. And now back to Xiomara Castro. The U.S. seems to be trying to want to work with her as an ally, which is interesting. The U.S. already pressured her while she was campaigning and taking office to not cut ties with Taiwan. Honduras is one of the few remaining countries that still has direct relations with the island of Taiwan instead of with communist mainland China, and the U.S. pressured Xiomara Castro to not cut ties with Taiwan, and she ended up going along with that. So Xiomara Castro has a big plate in front of her. It's going to be very difficult for Xiomara Castro in trying to lead the country. She inherits a horrible, impoverished mess. Honduras is the third poorest country in the Americas, and it's extremely poor. The Honduras government has been so corrupt, narcotics trafficking is institutionalized, and fighting against corruption will face lots of resistance from the entrenched corrupt people and the Honduras government. And then there's always the shadow lingering over Xiomara and Manuel Zelaya when, as I mentioned, Manuel Zelaya was overthrown in a coup in 2009 when his policies at the time were outraging the rich oligarchs and landowners of Honduras. And if Xiomara Castro ends up doing policies that anger the rich landowners too much, they could try to have her overthrown. And that shadow is always going to be hanging over her head, and it's going to make it extremely difficult for her in governing the country and getting anything done when there's so many forces of the Honduras establishment who are opposed to her and don't want to see a lot of her policies happen, and they will try to either control her or overthrow her. And in general, it's always very difficult being a woman in Central America, in particular Honduras, where they have out of control femicide, where women are regular targets of violence, including sexual assault as well as murder. And it's just sadly a huge part of a lot of Honduran society of violence against women. So it's going to be very, very difficult for Xiomara Castro. And if she were to be overthrown, Honduras would just continue being a out of control, failed state, unstable, and migration from Hondurans coming to the U.S. will just continue to multiply. So it's important to pray for Xiomara Castro and her safety and the ability to even govern.